Hey, man.
Happy to be here.
Have you ever heard?
What a day.
What a day. Yeah.
It's Friday for us.
For us. Yeah,
Tuesday
not for you. Have you ever heard of unknown number?
Okay. Big fan of this. And I'm eating a couple of chili dogs. So my chili dogs, while my dogs are out, while my dogs are on the floor watching the dogs, and I'm throwing back a couple of dogfish beers. So I'm sipping on some dogs while I'm eating some dogs, while my dogs are out, while my dogs are on the floor watching those dogs. And one of those dogs said, I got a text.
Things I learned last night.
I hate whenever, first of all, unknown numbers. Is there a way to filter out, like, I hate that the phone will be like potentially spam, but I'm still going to bother you with it.
Yeah, I'm still going to send it to you.
I'm sitting here going like, if it's potentially, just block it. Is that a setting?
No. Yeah, it should be. I don't know if it is.
I know that you can screen all unknown numbers, which I don't want to do because sometimes people call me
that you don't
from
know.
like gigs or whatever that I need to answer, or like I hate when I have that turned on and then I am trying to deal with flights, and then I miss the call back, because it screened the unknown number. I don't want to, but for you to put potential spam, just filter that.
But I think the idea is like, well, what if we're wrong?
Why are you yelling into the microphone?
But I think the problem is, what if we're wrong? And so it's like, I mean, this
it goes to voicemail.
An automated system. I mean, okay, so you're saying send it straight to voicemail. Don't.
I'm not saying block it.
it.
I'm saying, well, that's what happens when you block a number.
I think you can just decline it and it just disconnects if you just decline it, right? Or does that just go to auto voicemail?
When you decline, do you think that when you hit decline, it disconnects?
I guess
is that what you thought has happened this whole time?
I guess so, yeah.
No.
Oh, so it just goes to voicemail.
It goes to voicemail.
Ah, bummer. That's a bummer.
And then the recording goes, beep. Hi, this is boop, boop, boop. Like the recording starts and then it's like, okay.
Bummer.
I love when I get a real person, by the way. They go, hey,
like
is
real
this
spam? Is
this Jaron? Or is this, they don't even call for me. They never call for me. Someone is using my phone number. Mm-hmm. I think it's my uncle and my cousin sometimes. People will call me for my cousin. They're trying to collect money from her.
Yikes.
And I go, I'll tell you exactly where she lives. I don't.
I'm trying to collect money from her too.
They go, is this Dana? And I go, if you ever call me again, I will hunt you down.
So it's not a spammer. It's like an actual collections agency.
No, the spam ones, it goes, hi, this is.
Yeah. But there are. Boop, boop. Yeah. And then
because they're just trying to figure out if you have a real phone number.
Yeah, that's all they're doing.
Right.
They're just trying to get you on their list.
Yes.
Verify.
Which I do not want to be. Yes. And that's what I'm saying. So anyway, unknown numbers. I don't like them.
That's fair.
Unknown numbers, spooky. Like, let me think of an unknown number right now. 15,471.
Whoa, so scary.
I don't like where that came from. I didn't plan that. You know what I'm saying? That was. Think of one right now. It has a 7 in it.
Yikes.
Have you seen this guy that's doing his little book tour right now who can guess people's PIN numbers and stuff?
Yes, because he did.
Spooky.
Didn't he do Rogan?
Yeah. And then guessed Rogan's debit card number.
Yeah.
And
on the thing, and he's like, well, now
and you can see Rogan with his little, smelling salts filtered brain. And he's sitting there being like, he's literally going through like, did I accidentally say that on the podcast?
Did I say that before?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Stressed.
He looks so. Were you trying to do that subtly?
I was trying to.
Were you trying to subtly turn the lights on?
You didn't
want to be like, hey, hold on, let's pause this thing and turn those lights on. I forgot to turn them on.
Yeah, I just figured I could do that without anybody noticing.
Nah, anybody? Without anybody noticing. The two people in the room.
It was worth a shot. Anyways,
you thought our new intern Blair?
Blair. I didn't know your name before now.
Her name is the Blair Witch Project.
Weird. Last name, the Witch Project.
If your last name is Project.
Yeah. My project. Okay, so The unknown number.
Yeah.
Here's what I should say.
I know this story. It's wild. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's see how well I know the story.
I bet I know it better.
I did actually watch it again last night, so we'll see.
Nice.
Which I guess is a good... There is a documentary on Netflix called The Unknown Number that we're about to cover. And I do think if you haven't seen it, it's probably better to go watch it.
Go watch the documentary blind.
We're going to spoil it.
Don't know anything. It's one of those documentaries. The same thing with, what was that other one? The Love, Stalk, Kill.
Love Stalker Killer. Lover
Stalker Killer. Go watch that one blind.
Yeah.
Because this documentary is the same kind of way where 45 minutes in, it just takes a turn that you're like, wait, what?
It's a little dull, honestly, up until that point. Watching it again.
But now that I've watched it twice now,
and
I think they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
The more I watch those things, I go, oh, you hit me right at because it literally happens at the 38-minute mark in both those documentaries.
Yeah.
Even Lover, Stalker, Killer too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this is. You guys did this on purpose where you lulled me into this like, okay, I think we get it. Like, all right, he's being stalked by someone.
Yeah.
And then you were like, but also, how is this possible? And you're like, how is that possible? Have you watched it? What about you, Blair? Yeah. No, you're thinking of a different, whatever.
It's nice.
Actually, you can go.
It's nice having Blair here because she doesn't sit down. We don't have any other chairs. She just levitates over there in the other. She's like this.
Yeah.
She walked into the interview and she did that.
She didn't walk into the interview.
She walked in.
She hovered into the
normally.
interview.
And
she walked in normal.
And then she sat like that, just levitating.
Okay.
And we were like, I think we should hire you. I don't think we can turn you down.
I was thinking she was sitting on the desk.
No, she's just levitating over there.
So anyway, I like how I have like kind of grounded bits, and then Tim is like, "What if she's like
what if she's levitating?
You know,
what if her feet aren't touching the ground?"
I was trying to make the bit like we're really mean to whoever this girl is, and Tim's like, "We're really mean to her because she's possessed by spirits that make her flow like dog." All right.
Oh, okay. So, let's take a look at our cast of characters.
Let's see who we're talking about here. So, if you go watch the documentary before you listen to us tell it, if you've not seen it, or if you don't want to do that, you want to hear us tell it. Are we going to bury it the same way that the documentary does?
Yeah, we will.
All right, let's do it.
But I will say too, the documentary. We're a family friendly podcast. There's some subject matter in the documentary that's not family friendly.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We're not going to...
The text messages are pretty...
They read all the text messages. We're not going to read them. We'll just tell you about them.
We'll give you the gist.
Yeah.
And the text messages are pretty explicit.
Very vulgar. All right. Let's take a look at our cast of characters. We have...
Did our voices get louder? Am I crazy? Did you change some on the audio? No. I'm just insane.
I think
I popped my ears.
Yeah, you're spiraling a little bit.
Would you grab me a water, please?
Before we started shooting this, he's like, "Oh, I don't have a water," and he says, "Oh, it's fine,"
Tim,
because I know in his brain,
I really don't have a lot of time.
I know in his brain,
I don't have a lot of time.
He said, "Oh, I can just make him do it for me
Tim,
in the episode."
Can you please grab me water?
Here's the frustrating thing about this.
You're gonna do it.
The super frustrating thing about this
is that you're gonna do it.
I'm gonna freaking do it.
Thanks, Tim.
So that was Blair.
Oh, she makes sound effects now? So the demon makes sound effects? She's not just floating. She sounds like there's a propeller.
Yeah. But she's making
she's trying to convince us that she is possessed by demons. But really, I mean, in her shirt, it's tight because she's got a full box fan back there.
And then she's sitting on it.
She's just... And we're like, hey,
I can see the box. I can see the cord.
She goes, no, you cannot.
She has a really long extension cable that she's just unraveling everywhere.
Yeah, I was trying to plug my power bank in earlier, and she was like, I'm using this one.
I need this one.
Okay, so let's look at our cast here.
Yeah, so the story takes place in 2020. in a town of, what's this town called? Beale City, Michigan.
Okay.
And
Beale City is a small town. Small town. How many students go to this high school? Do you know?
Let's see.
Let's find the population of Beale City first.
Beale City, Michigan is, oh my gosh, this is smaller than I thought. 312.
Right. So this is
small.
legitimately a town. I mean, the town is smaller than my high school. So this is a place that everyone knew everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
And the school, it's important, is the school is grade 1 to 12.
Right.
And they have 400 students.
Right. So this is one of those communities too where because I grew up in Mount Vernon, a suburb of Springfield. And but Willard, for example, is a school that pulls from parts of Springfield, but most of Willard students are from like a 15-mile radius into the middle of nowhere. All the farm kids go to this place. So Beale City, it's not like everyone in this town is at the school. It's everyone in this town plus like a 20-mile radius of kids who just live out on farms and do all that stuff. So so it's small, very small community, very, very small.
Yeah. And
that's small enough. I don't think do they have a football team, I guess. I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, they talk about
they talk about sports. They
talk about sports.
They have basketball
show
for sure.
Footage of football. They do show some football footage. So, they do say in the documentary that there's one stoplight and 2 bars, and that's it.
Yeah.
So,
we got one stoplight and 2 drinking bars. Dun, 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 dun. Come on down to Beale City, where the girls are pretty, and we're I don't know. I'm just trying to go.
Honestly, that was really good. Like, I feel like
I'm gonna retire in Branson.
Sell that to them.
The Clay Cooper Express.
So
this week's sponsor is the Clay Cooper Country Express. The Clay Cooper Country Express. Tell your grandma.
Tell your grandma. The call to action isn't like go to the website.
No, she'll figure it out. She'll figure it out. She'll call the number.
She'll mail in the rebate.
She'll do all that. You just tell her about it. So,
all right.
Do we have pictures of these people?
So this is Owen. Owen is one of our main characters here. Owen, hold on, let me get his last name. So that way
doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
Owen
Just do
McKinney.
first names. Okay.
Owen McKinney.
Owen.
Lauren.
Tim, stop.
Macari.
We don't have time.
These are the main characters we'll look at for now.
Yeah. So Owen and Lauren are now, they're still in high school, right? They're
they're like elder high schools.
Elder high schools. Are they seniors?
I think now they've probably graduated.
Because the story happened 8th grade year, freshman year?
It starts freshman year.
Freshman year.
Yeah. So Owen and Lauren, they were dating. See, this is a football
Cute
photo.
couple. Yeah, there is a football team.
Yeah.
And I love they do the small town thing where it's just the Cowboys logo. You know? I love when small towns just straight up take NFL logos.
Yeah,
like so many. If you got a school near you that's the Patriots, it's the Patriots logo.
Yeah, that's very accurate. So, yeah.
Do you think the NFL's like chill with that? They're like, actually, it's brand, like, we're fine with that.
I don't know, actually. I would assume
no.
They'd be like Disney and be like, we're going to sue you and get our bag.
But I mean,
it happens all the time. But
also, can the Cowboys trademark a star?
Yeah, the Cowboys is a little tough. But I mean,
but the Patriots, I mean,
that's pretty hard.
When you see schools that are Patriots, it's straight up that logo.
It's the same. Yeah, and you do see you see the same thing with college teams too all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Because why be original? You know?
Sure.
Do you think that in the age of AI, we're going to start seeing that go away where it's not, we're just ripping NFL team logos. It's just, we're just making one up on AI.
It'll look glossy and probably. So Owen and Lauren, they start dating. And this is the kind of podcast we are now. We're a high school gossip podcast.
High school gossip.
So they start going out, you know?
Yeah.
And they're a cute couple.
They're 13 years old. And they are like kind of the it couple.
13, man. I think my brother and his wife started dating when they were 14. I'm not joking. You were
really?
Yeah, you thought I was making a joke. I'm pretty sure they started dating when he was 14.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've been together longer than Ray and I.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is kind of wild.
Wild.
Interesting.
Wild.
So they started dating when they were 13, and they were kind of like the it couple.
If I got that wrong, Caden, don't text me about it. Don't be like, by the way, I was 15. Actually, I was 7. Yeah, your life doesn't matter to me. You're only accessory to my life.
All right.
I know he listens to this or watches. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? So
I called him the other night. We had a 20-minute conversation. This kid is in the Air Force. He's married. He's like doing a full adult life. The only thing I wanted to call him about, I called him not to be like, hey man, how's marriage going? How tough is it now that you've transitioned out of boot camp and now you're in a position where you're working hard every day. You're waking up and I'm really proud of you. Didn't say any of that. I said, hey man, do you know how to get to the gemstone crab in RuneScape? I said, I know about this thing, but I'm just trying to train my attack and strength. We talked for 20 minutes about the gemstone crab. So what are you talking to your brother about?
Yeah, actually the last
Nothing.
conversation.
Did you feel that where he
the
went,
last conversation I had with my brother.
Last conversation I had was, I'm moving out, buddy. Hey, I'll always be here for you, man. If you ever need it. That was the last time we talked. That was 12 years ago.
No, I asked him if he played this new game Arc Raiders. That's the last conversation we had.
Isn't that crazy? That's what we talk about. Anyway, so Owen and Lauren, they're dating. They're freshmen, whatever.
Yeah.
Cute couple.
And it's important to emphasize they are the it couple. Like everybody at school, is like, I don't know what
it's like when you see when the two popular kids are dating. That's what it is. And also they are 13 years old.
They are 13 years
So
old.
for context, they are 1-3, 13.
1-3. And so one of the girls at the school, her name's Chloe. She throws a Halloween party. Mm-hmm. And Lauren's not invited to this Halloween party. And there's some speculation on why. But Owen is invited. And Owen says, well, if you're invited, or if I'm invited, you're invited. So like you're gonna come with me. And so they go
big
to
man move for a 13-year-old, by the way. For a 13-year-old to go, hey, you and I, we're one in the flesh. So if I'm invited, you're invited. That's how I protect my girl. It's honestly pretty freaking tough.
That is tough.
She's like, no, I don't know if I'm invited. Hey, if I'm invited, anywhere I go, you go. That starts to sound a little.
Say that like that, it sounds different.
No, I'm not taking my eyes off you. See how it starts to, how quickly it turns from chivalry to crime? You know?
It's all just tone. It's all just tone of voice.
No, you're going. At 13. Hey, Lauren, I got invited to this party and I really want you to go with me. Well, I don't know. I wasn't invited. No, if I'm invited, you're invited. Oh, I don't know, Owen. You're going. Okay. So
they go to the
Halloween party.
They go to the party, and at the party, they get
Chloe shoots her.
And here's where the mystery starts.
You weren't invited to this. Why? Small town
stuff. And so, here's what's interesting. A little bit of backstory on Chloe. Chloe, for years, has been accused of being like a school bully. But she's not a school bully. Like,
sure. A
lot of the kids at the school like say she is, and she's not doing these things. But at the same time, like it's small town, and so it's like small school.
Dude, small town stuff, like it really does become one of those things where, it's not like. Because the way that's framed is it makes it sound like this Chloe girl invited everyone but Lauren.
Yeah.
That's a bully, right? But if I just, like, that's how small town stuff happens, is like if I invite my friends to my birthday party and you're just not one of my friends, then you in your brain can go, he's bullying me by not inviting me. And it's like, no, we're just not friends.
Yeah.
And in small town culture, it's one of those things where it's like, well, we all know each other, so we are all friends. And it's like, that's not.
Yeah.
That's like, so that's how those things can
Hey, thanks for watching our show. If you like it, a great way to help out is by being a Patreon supporter. Doing that helps make this show possible, but it also gets a lot of perks for you. You can get every episode a week early ad-free. You get access to a Discord where you can meet a lot of other people who love the show and actually hang out with Jaron and I every month on a hangout. And we're also in that Discord chat all the time, talking with people, talking about episodes and just random stuff in life. It's super fun. There's a way to get birthday messages, a free gift, merch discounts in there. So there's a lot of really great reasons to be a Patreon supporter. You get a lot of benefits out of it. And it also makes the show keep happening. So if that sounds great to you, you can go to support.tilln.com or tilln.com/support, or just tilln.com and search around until you find the links and become a Patreon supporter. We really appreciate you doing that. But if not, right back to the episode, right?
There's also the thing where it's socially awkward sometimes. You've been around somebody who makes a joke that you don't like, but everyone else laughs, and so you kind of go, yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And just to kind of appease or whatever. There's also situations where someone else is bullying somebody, and you're just kind of there, and you, as a middle schooler, don't have the confidence to stand up for that person yet.
Yeah.
So now you're associated with the bullies.
Yeah.
That's small town stuff. That's how that all...
Yeah.
I almost got expelled when I was in middle school because this kid, Austin, was beating up the scrawny kid. We had a scrawny kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever school? You were the scrawny kid. Our school had a scrawny kid.
He said that to
like
say
Tim.
that.
Like Tim. Like a little kid like Tim.
Just to
Who's
say
like,
that.
I'm 5'9". And so... I'm fine. You're going. And so he was punching him. He's just straight up punching him. And I was the size I am now. And so I just, and all these kids are gathered around, and I literally just walked through and just didn't push or anything, but just walked into the kid and pushed him off of him.
Yeah.
And then I got in trouble for being involved in that fight.
Yeah.
So there's weird small town stuff is what I mean. And so she's perceived as a bully, even though she's not doing bullying stuff. We have a lot to get to.
Yeah. Is it the same thing?
We have a lot to get to.
Oh my gosh. We don't have that much to get through. We're almost done. Okay.
I'm looking at Alex in the eyes right now.
So she gets a text message.
She gets a text message at the party?
At the party. That basically says...
They're at the Halloween party.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it basically says... It's very vulgar. It doesn't say this exactly, but it basically says Owen is supposed to be mine.
Well... Do you have the text at all? Do you have any of the texts?
I don't have them with me because I wasn't planning on actually.
What's the first text? We don't have to read it, but let me do it in a clean way.
Okay. Give me a second.
Let me do it in a clean way. I freaking hate you, I mean, I think we can read it like that, where it's like, what the thing says. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, she gets a text. They both get a text. That's important. Owen and Lauren are in a group text with this random number. Do you know this story, Alex? Great. So this random number texts these two kids in a group chat. So now there's 3 numbers in a group chat. And the random number essentially says, he doesn't want you. He's with me.
Yeah.
Right? And so Lauren is like, well, that's weird. And she looks at Owen, and Owen's like, I don't know who this is. And they think it's a weird one-time text. They're like, that was strange, whatever. Does Lauren respond to the text, the first one?
I don't know if they do respond, actually. I don't think they say whether or not they respond. Yeah, I don't think it says exactly whether they respond or not, but it is that sort of thing where it's just like, we both got this weird text, and it basically was saying something along the lines of like,
he's mine.
He's mine.
He wants to be with me.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be with you. And so they kind of shake it off. It's like, it was a weird thing. Don't really think much about it. Go on with their lives.
And it was just one text?
I think there was a couple texts that night.
Okay. But it was just that one night.
But it was just that one thing.
Sure.
Yeah, that one time. And then nothing really happens. They kind of forget about it. They move on with their lives until 11 months later. 11 months later.
Almost a full year.
Yeah. They both get another text.
They're still dating, by the way, which honestly, what I'm talking about when 13-year-old couples have dated for a year. Mm-hmm. Those are like...
They're going the long haul at that point.
And because they're enmeshed.
Yeah.
They are at their formative years
100%.
now codependent with each other. Good, just so you know.
So
now my brother and his wife.
They're not codependent.
Now you guys.
They're not codependent. But I mean, I guess technically once you're married, you are codependent. You should be codependent, right?
You're going.
So they They get another set of text messages.
Okay.
Very similar.
11 months later.
Yeah, very similar in nature of like...
Puts them in a group text. It's not... The number is... I don't think we know this. Does the number ever individually texting them? I don't think so.
There were group texts. I'm pretty sure they were individual as well.
Okay.
There were group texts, but there were also individual messages. And what's interesting is the numbers are rotating. It's not one number.
It's not the same phone number.
Yeah, it's not the same phone number.
So it's not like you can just block this person.
Yeah. So they get the group text, and they get a couple of other messages individually. And the messages are kind of oscillating between stuff like, oh, Owen should be with me. And then there's also stuff that's like aggressive to Lauren and like bullying Lauren about her appearance, about she was really athletic, about her performance in sports.
Stuff that was like, you're too skinny, or
Yes.
I can't believe you'd wear that, or and then like specific things about what she was wearing that day.
Yeah.
So this wasn't a person who's like hours away just cyberbullying somebody. These are texts that's like, you really think that's what you should wear to school? Like, I can't believe you wore those colors together. Or I know you scored 12 in last night's basketball game. You know, stuff that was specific about, which is creepy. But all that stuff is focused at Lauren.
Yeah.
And Owen's just kind of like none of the texts are like to Owen. They're about Owen, but they're not like, yeah, Owen, I love you. I want to be with you.
Owen's not getting those type of texts. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're mostly in the group text where it's like, Owen wants me. And then Owen's sitting there being like,
no. Owen does get some texts.
I don't know. I'm confused. Do I want this person? I don't know.
I don't know who they are.
Right. I'm a teenager.
Owen is getting texts though that are like, you should break up with her. You should leave her.
Yeah.
Like, he is getting those kind of texts.
But that's what I mean is that but even those texts those are still targeting Lauren.
Yeah.
Those aren't about Owen. Those aren't like, hey, you're dumb.
Yeah.
You know, they're all like, you should leave her. You don't want her. You should break up with her.
Mm-hmm. So this
weird stuff.
This thing goes on for weeks and weeks of them getting these messages over and over again. And they're explicit. They're really just rude and mean.
Cruel. I mean, like, we are a family-friendly podcast, but you got to know these are explicitly vulgar things to say to an adult. Like, if someone was texting me this stuff, it would be really nasty, disgusting.
Yeah.
When I say disgusting, like explicitly describing sexual acts kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Texting to a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so after a little while of this happening over and over again, almost on a daily basis, they go to their parents and they're like,
and it's ramping up too.
Yeah, it's getting.
They go to their parents and the parents are like, this has been going on for a month. Yeah. And the parents start scrolling through this and they realize that this is 40 messages a day.
Yeah.
This isn't like, right before bed, firing off one or two.
Yeah.
This is 40 messages through the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is constant. Like, and this is what happens to a lot of people with social media is that you'll see something you don't like. And it's these people who argue back and forth in the comment section. It's like, dude, you'll comment something at 7 a.m. and then you'll go back, you'll check it on your lunch break. And then that person commented back. So you comment back and then you'll check it like, 2 o'clock between emails. And then they commented back. So you comment back. And now you have spent your entire day fighting with this person online. Yeah. This is happening to these 14-year-old kids all day. And they're not telling their parents about it until like a month in. And then the parents are like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, why didn't you say something about
so
this
then
before?
the mom of Owen's mom is sitting there going like, well, we need to block this number. Or we need to figure out. And then she correctly goes, and this is where I was trying to figure out what I would do if this was my kid. She correctly says, if we block this number, then this is still somebody in our town.
Yeah.
Like this is 300 people in our town.
Yeah.
This is somebody here who knows what my kid is wearing to school, who knows specifics about his relationship with this girlfriend and about what they're doing in sports. Like this is stuff
they're talking about the games. So it's like they're at the games.
They're at the games. This is somebody like in our life, in our community. Yeah. And if we just block the number, that could end the text, but that also ends with, we don't know who's been doing this to our kids for the past month. So that's like where she's going, I think what it should have been was Owen gets a new phone number.
Yeah.
And you don't tell anybody this phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what I would have done, I would have gone full like FBI mode on this where I go, here's your new phone. The only people who have this phone number are your father and I. Sorry, I guess your mother and I, if I'm the one doing it. I was putting myself in her shoes, but whatever. Actually, you know what? I think it'd be funny if we told our kids that I'm their mom, and that's pretty funny. No,
they
but
just don't know.
the only people who have this number are your parents.
Yeah.
And I need to know. And we're going to give this phone number to Lauren.
Yeah.
And then we need to tell Lauren she cannot give this phone number to anybody.
Yeah.
And then I need to know everyone who has this phone number.
Yeah.
And we will slowly grow your friend group on this. I'm not trying to isolate you, but we need to find out who and where this is. And I'm going to keep your other phone alive because the person's going to keep texting this number.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Probably what I would
try to track them down. Yeah.
So they go to their parents.
They go to their parents. Their parents find out about it. And their parents, Lauren's mom and Owen's mom, they go to the school.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, we need to bring this to school because their immediate thought is this is somebody else in their class.
Yeah.
That's messaging them. And so they bring it to the school. The principal and the district superintendent get involved. And they begin doing kind of an investigation in the school to try to track down who this could be.
They're literally watching security camera footage at the school. They're matching like, okay, you got a text at 10:12 a.m. Let's see through the security cameras who's on their phone at 10:12 a.m.
Yeah.
You know, like honestly, more than they needed to do.
But I will say, I do think I think they should have done a lot. And I think honestly, at this point, they probably should have taken it to the authorities earlier because the messages were telling her to like harm herself.
Not yet. They weren't.
I don't know if
they weren't that early. They weren't a month in.
Maybe. I don't know.
The message is only like, so this goes on for a very long time, but this is now a year after the first text, right? First text happens in October, a full almost year later, September, the texts start ramping up. Now they're daily. And so now it's October, November, the full year after, and they take it to school and the texts are still very, you know, he doesn't want you, you should break up. I can't believe you wear this, bullying, that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's gotten to like the threatening self-harm.
I guess I don't know when that started.
I don't know when, but I know it wasn't when they first took it to the school.
Yeah.
I think they would have taken it to the authorities if when the moms presented it to the school and said, look, they're trying to get her to harm herself. Mm-hmm. I think as mandated reporters, they would have had to do something.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think that when, you know, and the moms are sitting here being like, to the school, like, hey, we think it's somebody on the basketball team. Can we hold a basketball team meeting and be like, hey, somebody on your team is doing this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the superintendent, wisely, I think, says that's going to turn into a witch hunt.
Yeah.
This is not going to go the way. Because they're starting to accuse, I mean, the moms are explicitly starting to accuse that Chloe girl.
Yeah.
Right?
They picked out Chloe and they said, we're pretty sure it's her.
But there is a sheriff involved in the town.
Yeah, and so they do, after the school does their initial investigation, they start watching the security cam footage, they start asking other kids, and eventually they kind of get to the point where it's like, we can't take this any further, and it's starting to get to the point where we do think like there's a crime happening here.
Yeah,
and
this
so
is
they
now
get the
stalking.
sheriff involved. Yeah.
Like the texts are reaching a place where it's like they know what you're doing, they know when you're doing it, this is stalking, let's get the police involved.
Yeah, so the police get involved, and it becomes a thing where the police are at school regularly, questioning kids that go to school there,
interviewing Lauren and Owen almost every day.
Yeah, all their friends, because all their friends are getting, because it's group chats. Like it's individual to them, but there's also group chats that other kids are getting.
And also the friends are trying to figure it out too.
Yeah,
they're trying to Scooby-Doo gang this thing.
Ruh-roh.
Where they're like, they're like a band of teenagers trying to be like, wait, somebody's in our school doing this.
Yeah. They're in class and it's like Love Island. They're like, I got a text.
I honestly though,
yeah, for real.
I don't like that you made a Love Island reference. That really, it makes me so mad that you made a reference to I get a text. I'm also mad that I know what that reference is.
Me too.
Like I barely know though. My wife will watch, but you know the thing about this is about Love Island is that my wife only watches it because her friends watch it. Maybe I'm giving away her game here.
Yeah,
but she doesn't enjoy it.
Oh, really?
See, she only watches it to be able to talk to friends like Bree and other friends that I won't name.
No, nobody at our house watches it. My dogs do. My dogs watch it.
Nobody at our house watches it. Bree goes to bed, Archer's asleep, and it's on the TV.
My dogs are Love Island fans.
My dogs love that show.
My dogs are big Love Island fans. I can't stop them.
My dogs love that show. My dogs love Love Island. I'll tell you what I love. I love a good night at the end of the day where I can sit down, Love Island's on the TV. My dogs are on the floor watching the Love Island. My dogs are out while I'm eating a couple of chili dogs.
All right. Moving on. So,
and I drink that dogfish beer or whatever it's called. Isn't that a beer? I don't know. Is that a beer?
That sounds like one.
Is that? I don't know. Am I making that up?
It sounds like one.
So I'm watching the dogs watch these dogs on Love Island. So on the TV is a couple of dogs. And on the floor is a couple of dogs watching those dogs. And my toes are out. So my dogs are out while my dogs are on the floor watching those dogs. And I'm eating a couple of chili dogs. So my chili dogs while my dogs are out while my dogs are on the floor watching those dogs. And I'm throwing back a couple of dogfish beers. So I'm sipping on some dogs while I'm eating some dogs while my dogs are out while my dogs are on the floor watching those dogs. And one of those dogs said, I got a text.
Okay, so the sheriff gets involved. It was a funny bit. It wasn't.
I wasn't trying to be funny, Tim. That was serious. I was describing what I do on Thursday nights. That wasn't a funny bit.
Okay, sorry. That was a.
Don't do your fake laugh.
That was a very serious bit.
Not even a bit.
That was a very serious segment.
That was a very serious monologue. A monologue, if you will. Okay, so the sheriff gets involved. And the sheriff is coming to school. There's body cam footage in this documentary where he's sitting down interviewing not only other students, but those students' parents, you know?
Yeah.
And these kids, once the sheriff is interviewing you, it really does become like a witch hunt culture.
Yeah.
Where now the school thinks it's that person.
Yeah.
You know?
Which, sidebar, wild to me. How many of these kids, specifically how many of these kids' parents didn't tell them, don't talk to that police officer? Like,
that is true.
Crazy to me.
But again, small town.
Yeah.
Like, my mom went to high school with that police officer.
Yeah, that's true.
And,
that is true.
And we've talked about that before, and during the Dare episode specifically, where the local police officer may legitimately be on your side.
Yeah.
But the footage they get and the questions they ask can be used by a prosecutor later who's not.
Who's not.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing about community policing is that you can have a relationship with that police officer, and they may not be angling to try to get you.
Yeah. But they can get you.
But you should not talk to those people.
Yeah. Yeah. So
he's talking to these students without parents there.
Yeah.
It's not like the parents are there every time.
Which I would be so furious if I found out.
But also the other side of it too is like, what someone's texting my kid.
You do want to find out what's going on, yeah.
You know,
That's
do
true.
I only let the cop have information when I'm there? Like then it's, you know, if he's got a lead, then I want him to follow. You know, like it's and also I know the cop.
Yeah, that is true. The small town politics thing is
it's tough.
Something I hadn't thought about.
I'm thinking about running for mayor in my hometown.
Is this serious?
I'm probably not. Because I don't want to move back to.
I don't want to live there.
I know. I like my hometown. I don't want to live there. I don't want to live there, and I think that's what I'd run on. Is like
I don't want to live here.
No.
I don't want to live here.
Hey, I don't want to live here.
Neither do you. So let me make it a place where we want to live.
Nobody wants to live here.
Pretty good campaign.
And who do you think is at fault for that?
Yeah.
Here's what I do. And I'll call him out on the podcast. I'll call him out on the podcast right now. Mount Vernon, Missouri needs this to happen. So, you know, from my hometown, I'll run for mayor. And I was straight up in my stump speech. I don't even know if the mayors get to do speeches. You know? In my campaigning, I would say, hey, look, you've been voting for these policies that do this, this, and this. These developments are not coming to Mount Vernon. They're not. I said, but I'll tell you what, when you look at the last 20 years of Mount Vernon, what has destroyed it?
Yeah.
Is it this set of policies or is it the fact that Wilmuth owns half of the strip and has let it decay for 20 years now because he thought that there was going to be a Buc-ee's that went there and it ended up going down to Springfield.
Yeah.
So you've let him destroy this town. When you drive into town, it looks deserted and it looks dead because Wilmuth owns that land and won't give it up to be redeveloped because he's just trying to make a buck on it later, 10 more years from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, oligarchy is happening in my hometown is what I'm saying at a much smaller scale.
Oligarchy happens everywhere. Every place Garks.
Stop. We almost did a whole episode without crashing out. Come on. So anyway, small town, cop is like, and the rich guy in town is like, oh, because he's there. And he's got a box fan. He's floating. And so we almost made it. The wealth gap's undeniable. So
the texts continue.
So the text continues. What I'm saying.
And the texts are becoming a thing where it literally doesn't stop throughout the day. Like it is all day long. Like from sunup to sundown, just constant.
And Owen even says that in the documentary. He's like, okay, good morning. Like waking up 7 a.m. Here's a text.
Yeah.
You know? And the texts are getting worse.
Yeah, they're more.
And also the texts are encouraging. She's 14. The texts are almost saying like, Owen wants to break up with you because you won't do this with him. And so it's
like peer pressure.
The texts are trying to say you should be doing more with Owen. And it's so it's stuff that's like for a 14-year-old to receive is unfathomable. It's insane. And so Lauren's dad is wrecked over this stuff, trying to figure this out. Lauren's mom is also talking to the police every day, trying to be like, who's doing this stuff? Owen's parents are checking his phone every night. And so that's also something that's like, dang, dude. So Owen's plagued with this, but also as your parents, like,
that's very
before we go to bed, we're just reading all this nasty stuff someone's saying to you all day.
And it's not just them because there are other kids in the school who are getting the text, so their families are getting plagued by it.
Yeah,
and it's also there's the kids who are getting accused of it.
And so ultimately, Owen and Lauren end up breaking up over this.
Yeah, they end up splitting up because
not because Lauren's like, are you really cheating on me? You know, but it's just, it becomes, and that's what I'm saying is that it becomes all you can think about.
Yeah. And and they can't have an actual relationship outside of this thing anymore.
Yeah.
And so the teenage love dissipates like so often happens.
And you would think the text messages got what they wanted.
Yeah.
So they'd stop. But they did not.
They didn't. They kept going.
And now the texts, because the texts aren't like, Owen wants to break up with you. Now the texts become much more, you should kill yourself. And that's...
Yeah. Like it's your fault. And then like...
It's your fault. He's moved on. He doesn't love you. He never will. No one will.
Yeah. And it's talking about like
her
appearance and the way she dresses and athletics. She was a big athlete. Here's a photo of her when she was younger with her parents.
This is her parents?
Yeah, her and her parents. And she was
Let's show a picture of all the parents if you've got them. Do you have all the parents?
I don't have all the parents.
Oh, okay. But this is just...
Yeah, this is
her parents.
Yeah. And her mom was her basketball coach.
They all look like a normal Midwest family. Yeah, you know?
For real. Her mom coached her sports and she played all
softball, baseball, the whole stuff.
Basketball, yeah. And there was one specific night where she had a bad night at basketball, didn't score a basket or anything like that. She gets a text afterwards just talking about how bad she is. And she ends up actually quitting sports altogether. And so
the pressure.
Yeah. And so this is having like a significant impact on
her
life specifically, Owen's life specifically,
and the town,
their families in the town as a whole, because now the whole town is in on it. And both their moms are like banding together to try to figure this out. They're always at the school. They're on
the phone with each other.
Yeah, they're always talking to the sheriff.
What's Owen's mom's name?
Owen's mom's name is
Jill. What are
Jill.
their names? Jill
and Kendra.
Yeah,
Kendra is Lauren's mom. Jill is Owen's mom.
You're right.
And so
the sheriff reaches the point where he's like, I've done all I can.
Yeah, he's like, I've questioned everybody. I've watched the footage. Like, I've done everything I'm capable of doing on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And so he calls the FBI and says, hey, I need more resources if I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Right.
And so he sends everything he has to the FBI. The FBI briefs on the case and says, yeah, this is something we should pursue.
And do we know a timeline of how far this is now?
I believe this is just under 20 months.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So the FBI gets involved and they take their phones and they do a full data dump of their phones so they can dig deep through the data and see if they can find.
And they're looking at Snapchat locations.
Yeah.
They're looking at this text came from Florida. Well, Chloe happened to be on vacation in Florida at the same time. So now the cop is like, well, is she involved? Like they're looking at every app, every piece of data they can find.
Yeah. And after looking through that data, they don't really find anything conclusive that paints a picture for any specific person or motive or anything like that. But something interesting happens. While Lauren is at family Christmas, she gets a photo
That's right.
of one of her gifts
No, it's Owen. Owen gets that.
You're right. Owen gets
Lauren gets a
Owen gets a photo of one of Lauren's gifts. Or is it vice versa?
No, the picture was taken at Owen's house.
Okay, so
the picture is of Owen, and I don't remember who it gets sent to. I think it gets sent to Owen. No, it gets sent to Lauren.
Yeah.
Yes. So Lauren gets a picture of Owen at Christmas.
Yeah.
So somebody at Owen's
and
Christmas.
It's like immediately after,
yes,
during family Christmas. It's not like this picture got posted somewhere and they went and got it. Like this is during.
This is a picture taken at Owen's house during Christmas that is now sent to Lauren and was like, he's spending Christmas with me.
Yeah. It's like that scene in The Chair Company where he's sitting
and gets the thing. Sure. So gets a text message, a picture of Owen's house at Christmas time. This sends Jill. Now she's wanting to go full lockdown because this is not only somebody in town. This is somebody
family.
Somebody in my home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is taking this picture.
Yeah.
And sending it to Lauren.
Yeah.
So whoever's sending these text messages is in my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Very
So
close.
at that point, you can't just block the number.
Yeah.
This is somebody in your life.
Yeah. This is somebody that's not just in your life, but like in your immediate life.
Hey, thanks for listening to Things I Learned Last Night. It would do us a huge favor if you could just share this episode with somebody or just share the show. Tell someone you like it. That helps us grow the show. Another way to help us grow the show is to sport our merch, which is actually super comfy. We changed to a new merch supplier a couple years ago called Fourth Wall. You can buy our stuff at shop.TILLN.com. None of this is a pressure, by the way, but it just really does help us grow the show. And it helps, get the word out. And people ask me about my hoodie in the airport all the time. So they're really comfy. Would love for you to support the show. And either way, thanks for being here. We're glad that we get to do this podcast.
And so the FBI kind of ramps it up a little bit. And they go, this is coming from a lot of different phone numbers.
Yep.
And they end up discovering, okay, hey, we can take these numbers. These numbers are all associated with a specific app that lets you rotate phone numbers. And so they get a search warrant from that app
company
to identify those phone numbers and what IP addresses are associated with that. They managed to get the IP numbers associated with that. That came back as Verizon IP numbers.
Yeah.
And the way that works is Verizon has a set of IPs and every phone number pings those IPs. And so you're able to source, okay, this IP is associated with the X number of phone numbers. And so we can then go through these phone numbers and see, does any of these people know any of these phone numbers that are pinged to them? And there was one number that just repeatedly kept coming up.
And this is like a huge data set. This is like a gigantic spreadsheet of phone numbers. And there's one number that's kind of sprinkled throughout pretty often.
Yeah. And so they basically are able to say, we have enough evidence to confidently say that the person sending these messages is Kendra, Lauren's mom, which is crazy. So they get
which is wild because she's in the documentary the whole time and has also been talking to the police the whole time and has also been talking to Jill the whole time about like who's doing this.
Yeah.
All the while, Kendra is sitting at home texting her own daughter.
Yeah.
And her daughter's boyfriend insanely explicit, vulgar, wild things
and
40 or 50 times
daughter.
a day and telling your daughter to kill herself.
Yeah.
Wild.
Unreal.
And then it's also in the documentary.
That's also crazy. So the police get a search warrant. They say, okay, we're going to go get all of her devices. Because they have enough to say it's coming from her number, but they don't necessarily have enough to say it's her.
Right.
And so they get a search warrant to
because
go get all of her devices.
That's also a theory where people were like, maybe Lauren's doing this to herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, maybe she's using a laptop or using the Wi-Fi or her account or whatever to send these things to herself to get some drama. Like that's so they need to nail it on her for sure.
Yeah. So they go to her house and
she's outside.
She's outside. The police show up and they say, hey, we got to go inside and talk. And through that conversation, they seize all of her electronics. The sheriff is talking to her.
You have a picture of this?
The sheriff is talking to her. And the sheriff basically says like, hey,
we know it's you.
We know it's you. And
she confesses.
Yes. And she said, and the sheriff says, do you want to bring Lauren in and tell Lauren what's going on? And so She says,
this is the part that I think is insane. And this is where it's like the small town sheriff was a moron for this.
Yeah.
Because at that moment, as soon as we get a confession that she's the one doing it, we almost didn't. Because what happened was she's outside when the police pull up. They go, hey, can we go inside and talk? So first she's trying to dance around and she goes, no, we know you did it. We know, you know. And the other cop is like, okay, is this all the devices? And she's like, yeah, this is all of them. And he's like, no, but for real, is this all the devices? What were you doing out in the yard?
Well, what happens?
And she had thrown another phone in the bushes.
Yeah. So she calls. So the sheriff says, do you want to bring Lauren in? And Lauren comes in and the sheriff tells Lauren what's going on.
Your mom has been sending you all these text messages.
In the body cam footage is kind of crazy because you can see Lauren finding out and her mom, who's been doing this, is
hugging her, consoling her.
Yeah.
And this is where I was fuming.
And it's like, you did this.
Hey, and I'm looking at the cop like, separate them.
Yeah.
You should not be near your daughter right now.
Yeah.
This is insane that you're letting this happen.
And so
they call the husband. Husband flies home.
Yeah, the husband comes home. And when the husband comes home, he says
she has another
which
phone.
He says, which phone did you get?
Okay, yeah.
And he says, are there others? And he's like, yeah, she's got a second. And so that's when they come in and she ditched another phone in the bushes.
She ditched another phone outside.
Yeah, outside when the police showed up.
And those devices do confirm that she is the one.
That she was the one sending the messages. Yeah. So they end up taking her to trial. She ends up getting a little over a year in prison for this.
But talk about briefly the other stuff that she had done, because her husband's completely oblivious to all this stuff.
So when they get there,
but they were separated at this time, right?
They've been struggling. I don't believe they've officially separated, but they're on the rocks, their marriage. They recently lost a home. They moved all their stuff into a storage unit that they also lost. And so they're living out of their lake house. She worked in tech. And she had a job at a college the next town over that working with NIT. And then she actually got a job for a larger college where she was able, she told her husband to keep both jobs and to run both those jobs because one of them was remote. And so the new job was a significant pay bump, but she kept both of them. So they were like, oh, we've just got a giant raise, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of inflated their lifestyle. And this was the very beginning of when these text messages began. But what had actually happened is she got let go from the first college, didn't tell her husband, got this replacement job, and almost immediately got put on a performance plan because she was texting all the time. And so they put her on this performance plan, and she, within weeks of getting hired at that new job, got let go, lost the job.
But didn't tell her husband.
Yeah.
So then she ran all the money.
Yeah, she ran the finances, so she just told them everything was fine. And
they end up losing their home.
Yeah.
They move all of their possessions into a storage unit. Yeah. She's not paying the storage unit, so they lose all the possessions there.
Yeah. And she just pretended to work every day. She woke up, she said she works remote.
And he finds out when the police are there. He finds out in real time that she got fired from that job 6 months ago.
Yeah, you can see it on the body cam footage.
Where he goes, how long ago did you lose that job?
Yeah.
Because he told me that you don't work there anymore.
Yeah.
And she said it's been about 6 months.
Yeah.
And so that's when the dad is like, I'm taking Laura, we're getting out of here. You need to go stay at your mom's house.
Yeah.
And the police should have done that immediately, by the way. The police should not have been like, police should not have let them see each other. Yeah. That's insane that happened.
Her Lauren even come in.
But what I was saying is that it wasn't just that she was texting. She had conned her husband, essentially.
Yeah, she conned her husband. And that's the thing, is she was doing this so much that she couldn't keep her job. Like, she lost her job because of how much she was sending these text messages. And then when she lost her job, like, she went to this thing where she would pretend she was working, and then once no one was around, she would just sit and text all day. And then she would like edit photos to send and like put explicit things in the photos and send those photos to the kids. And like literally this became her job. Like every day she would wake up, she'd send these messages.
Obsessed.
And she would fake business calls, fake work calls.
So it seems like she was obsessed with Owen.
Well, what's interesting is
she denies that in the documentary.
So in the documentary, what's really interesting, I read a bunch of stuff after watching the documentary. The documentary kind of wraps up with her going to prison, and there's kind of a couple loose ends that they tie up in the documentary. One of them being her relationship with her daughter. And so her daughter talks about how they've stayed in touch while she's in prison, and they keep talking, and how her daughter says she still wants to have a relationship with her.
Because her daughter's still in, like, they're enmeshed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is there was 2 sets of interviews that happened with Lauren for the documentary, and that was the very beginning of her prison sentence is when that first interview happened. Right at the end of the documentary, there's the second interview, which happened after Lauren's mom got out of prison. And then what we see from that is that they haven't seen each other yet. Her parents have officially divorced. Her dad got full custody, and they've gone like no contact. And so she says she talks about how she's like, I would love to have a relationship with my mom again, like I did before, but I don't know when that or if that will ever happen.
Right.
And so the documentary kind of ties that up. And then the documentary talks about Owen's family. And it's very interesting seeing Jill react, because Jill was shocked, like, obviously.
This is her best friend.
Yeah. And they had spent so much time trying to solve
this would be like if you did this to my kids.
Yeah. And like they spent so much time trying to solve this together. Like they were a united force trying to solve this mystery together.
And it was her the whole time.
Yeah. And so it kind of ties up that side of the story. It ties up Chloe's side of the story, because Chloe was the one who was like pretty heavily accused of doing this. But what's interesting is if you look at the story outside of the documentary, and Owen kind of talks about how she's like, in the documentary, Owen kind of talks about how he felt like Kendra didn't have very good boundaries with him. And she's like, she would cut my steak. She would constantly try to take pictures with me. She was at all my games, like a very weird relationship with him.
Sure.
And so the documentary kind of paints it like she was kind of obsessed with Owen.
Right.
But if you read it from outside and look in like outside sources, I don't know. I think there's like 4 possibilities here. Obviously, like there's the possibility she was obsessed with Owen. There is like, if you look outside, like Jill even says the documentary made it look like they were really, really close.
Right.
And like they were in this together. But Jill realized pretty early on that there's a possibility that Kendra was doing it. But she had no way to prove it. And she said that she noticed because there was a specific time where they were Owen and Lauren had already broken up, and Owen started seeing this other girl in the next town over.
Yes.
And Lauren's family had no idea about this. Not a lot of people in town even knew about this. It was very new, very fresh. And Lauren's mom, Kendra, kept asking Jill about Owen's relationship status, like just constantly questioning it, wanting to find out about it. And then she found out about, like, Jill told her about this new girl the next town over. And then almost immediately, like the next day, that girl starts getting text messages.
Yeah.
And so she thought that was very fishy. And she was like, okay, I need to not talk to her about anything other than this thing. And so what's interesting is that was the case of most of the town. The school was like, this is not one of our kids. We're pretty confident this is Kendra. And
the school was like that?
School, yeah. And so like there is an interview that the principal did.
Really?
The principal did it with The Cut. And he said there were many of the staff at our school that were fairly confident it was Kendra from the jump. And there was parents all throughout the town.
None of that was in the documentary.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's parents all throughout the town who were like, yeah, we're pretty sure this is Kendra. And the reason why is Kendra's personality. Kendra was a transplant. She was not from the town. She met her husband in college and then moved into town with them. And so she never fit in like everybody else who grew up there.
Right.
But she was a person who just loved attention, and she didn't feel like she fit. And this thing happened. And this is the part where like I kind of, if this is true, if this storyline's true, I kind of think I might believe her, because she, throughout the documentary, maintains that she wasn't the first person to send the text.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I have a theory on that, but go ahead. What are your
And so what she says is that the text started, and then she started texting also, claiming that if I text, then maybe I can find some clues. If I'm also in there texting, I can figure some things out and help solve this. And so, but what's interesting is hearing that she loved attention, really wanted to fit in. This got her a lot of attention because her kid was so enmeshed in this. And so everybody wanted to talk to her all of a sudden. when they didn't before. And she couldn't get a sense of community, even though this was a really messed up way to find it. Like she was starting to.
So
get
what I
community.
think was the first Halloween text at Chloe's party.
Yeah.
Because it was a whole year before she got another text. Here's what I think happened. I think that first Halloween text she got, Lauren came home and was devastated, felt bullied, felt isolated at school, and really leaned on Kendra.
Yeah.
And so Kendra, having a teenager is a tough time.
Yeah.
The teenagers are naturally trying to want to break away from the parents. This is an event that happened that then made my daughter come to me, and I can console her and help her through that. Yeah. So now we're the closest we've been because we walked through you being isolated and feeling alone, right?
Yeah.
Now, a year later, now things at my work are getting kind of difficult. We're starting to feel strained again. But I remember what brought us together. What brought us together last year was a text message.
Yeah.
So I think it starts with, I'll just send a text message.
Yeah.
And because that's what I'm saying. The text messages were not vulgar from the beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
The text messages were, he doesn't want to be with you. He doesn't like you.
Yeah.
They were, I mean, still not something, obviously not something you should send to your kid, but not
what they became.
Wild. Right.
Yeah.
And so then it, sends, now she's coming to me.
Yeah.
Now we're close again. And then what you're saying is then it spirals and spills over to the community of like, we're trying to figure out who's doing this.
Yeah.
Well, now everywhere I go in my small town, whichever bar we choose to go to that night of our two, or if I'm stuck at the stoplight, everyone's like, hey, what's going on with Lauren? Do you guys have any update on that? And now that starts to grow that inside of you. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I think the first Halloween text might have been from somebody at school.
I think so. I think it's possible.
I think it was complete. I don't think it was Kendra. I think a year later, she goes, ooh, that's what brought us close.
Yeah.
Let me try it again.
Which I wish they would have spent a little bit more time on that and documented, because the superintendent actually says like he thinks it was Munchausen's by proxy.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what that is. And if you don't know, it's a mental disorder where a parent feels that their kid is moving on in life without them and they need to take care of them. And
very famous cases like where usually the famous ones are where the mom or parent has drugged their kid and made them physically, ill and maybe even paralyzed and like, so they can be a caretaker for them.
Yeah.
And that ramps up and, or they faked their kid having some kind of, horrible cancer of some sort, but their kid never actually had cancer.
Yeah. And so then they get to come in and take care. And so this is a similar situation where it's like they faked this whole trauma, so she has to take care of
that's exactly what I'm saying. That she knew that was what's going to get you close, and then a year later it's like, let me replicate that.
Yeah. And then it just spirals. And because you have to keep ramping it up for it to go on. Like eventually, like if it stays at the same level, like it just kind of goes away.
Yep.
And she kind of got in over her head. But yeah, the other side of it is in the cut interviews, you actually do find out like her and Lauren's family were very close. Like they did do a lot of holidays together. They did do a lot of things together. Yeah, Jill and Kendra's family. Yeah. They were very, very close. And there was a time before all this happened where Owen would actually refer to Kendra as his second mom.
Right.
But Kendra the relationship with Kendra and Owen was always a little weird. And Owen talked about how like there was definitely some things where it felt like she was.
Well, I don't even think we got to wrap this up, but I really don't even think that she was obsessed with Owen. I think she was obsessed with Lauren.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the things too, when you have that like need for approval or wanting to be connected to the people around you.
Yeah.
What ends up happening is the way you view your kids is not as individual people, but as an extension of you.
Yeah.
And so she became obsessed with Lauren's appearance.
Yeah.
And that's where, I mean, you can see that dynamic. It's always like, the dad who wants people are like, oh, he's trying to live through his kid. No, typically what's happening is that he wants his last name on a star player. He doesn't care if it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even like, oh, I'm trying to live through you. It's hey, you're an extension of me.
Yep.
You are me.
You are me. Yep.
And so that's what her looking at her daughter, teasing her looks, trying to get her to conform to certain things, I don't think is an obsession with Owen. Yeah. I think Owen was just an accessory to the fact where it's just like, okay.
Could be.
That's what I would think. But it also could be that she was like,
I think
I love this kid.
I think it's most likely the Munchausen by proxy situation.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely possibility.
You know, is that I want
because
my daughter to be close to me.
Because it became a thing where it genuinely harmed her life. Like they lost basically everything. And
I
she
mean,
went
it's
to
the
prison
same
for it.
reason that I buy podcast downloads. Dude, no one listens to this, but if we don't do it, then you're gonna quit being my friend. And so every week we talk about what we can do for the podcast. And I've been buying tens of thousands of downloads.
Thanks for being here. You fake people.
You're talking to nobody.
You fake people. What's up, fakers? So yeah, that's the story.
You let Tim go
That's
long enough, he'll say something dumb and ruin the bit, won't he? What's up, fakers? What's up, fakers? So that's the documentary. That's cool. Yeah, that's the documentary. What's up?
Oh my gosh.
I'm so mad I'm so mad that you
It's a really
did
good
that.
story. Kendra wasn't going to be in the documentary at first, actually.
That's what I was curious.
She declined
because when you
over and
watch
over
this
again.
documentary, the whole first half, Kendra's just like, yeah, we were trying to figure it out. And you're just like, and then when it reveals it, you're like, you freaking did it.
Yeah. Yeah, she wasn't going to be in it at first. That second set of interviews that they did with everyone, you'll notice, like, you watch the whole documentary, there's one set of that where everyone's at, and then like it's like, oh, everyone just got older. Like it's like because that was after the prison sentence and after Kendra was like, oh, I want to do it. Yeah. And so Kendra tries to spin the story. I don't think she does a good job spinning the story.
That's again the broken brain thing of like, well, at least I have an opportunity to. She thinks she's going to manipulate the audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And she tries to say, like, you don't know my life. Like, everybody has their mistakes. She tries to equate it to, like, sometimes you drink and, like, you drive and you didn't get caught. So it's like, is it that bad? But, like, sometimes you get caught. And she's like, I got caught. And it's like, that's not
the same at all.
Yeah, that's not like, that's like what you're comparing a one-time mistake
also,
to 800 texts a day.
That's what,
like, that's crazy. Anyways, it was a great documentary. If you didn't watch it yet, you should have watched it before you heard this because that reveal is crazy. But it is worth a watch. It is wild.
Pretty crazy stuff.
To see the full thing.
And you can text TILLN to 66866 to join our email list. We promise to send you extremely vulgar, crazy things. That's wild. Hey, Fiddle Off, by the way. Thanks. Share this episode with somebody who has not watched the documentary. Just tell them to go in blind. And also, you can go listen to another episode. What's one that's similar to this? Anything?
I can't think of anything anywhere near close to this. Have we done? I guess The Watcher. The Watcher's similar.
You know what? Let's try this exit over again. Fiddle Off, huh? So, hey, please share this episode with somebody. That helps us grow the show a lot. I promise I'll quit buying downloads when you guys start sharing. And... But if you like this episode, go check out The Watcher of 657 Boulevard. Kind of a creepy thing where someone's putting letters in their mailbox instead of text messages in their inbox. And so you can go check that out. And then also next week's episode is available right now to our Patreon supporters. It's ad-free. You get it next week's right now. You get to join the Discord, all that fun stuff. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on Things I Learned Last Night.